Audi have been showing off a bevy of hyper luxurious electric concept cars over the last year or so. We've seen the Skysphere, the Grandsphere, and the Urbansphere at various stages across the year, but today is the first time we can see all three concepts together. We are in some very luxurious surroundings. Pebble Beach by the 18th hole, and we have all three sphere concepts. So let me show you around. I want to start with this thing in the middle because this is most likely to enter production. This here is the Audi Grandsphere, and it's Audi's idea of ultimate luxury. Their idea was to build what they think a car would look like if it was almost a private jet on wheels, and it is incredibly special looking. Whenever I look at this thing, the first impression that I get is that it's almost like a shark, particularly at the front end, thanks to this very intricate glass-fronted illuminated grille, this futuristic interpretation of the single frame. And then up here, you've got these very thin LED lights, which almost make it look like the face of a seagoing predator. If we go around the side of the car, it's incredibly long. It's almost 17 feet long, in fact. So it's longer than a Range Rover, huge 23-inch wheels, very, very swooping roofline with this enormous glass house. The windscreen almost bleeds into the top here in this massive sunroof. They say this car might go on to become the inspiration for the next generation of the Audi A8 and S8, but it kind of does away with the traditional three-box design for a much more swooping silhouette. I do think it's very special. The rear of the car is also incredibly special. I love the way the roof almost bleeds into the rear deck with this very hollowed out overhang. You got these thin rear lights, big rear diffuser. The whole thing kind of reminds me of a spaceship, but actually the inside is especially space age. Come take a look. Check this out. Automated suicide doors. I can tell you this will not be on any production car anytime soon, but how incredible does this look? It opens so wide to allow you easy entry inside the car. And if you come around, just have a look at this cabin. I mean, this is just special, isn't it? Got this lovely white towel to protect the interior from my dirty feet. I've been trampling around the golf course. The first thing you might notice is that the rear seats are very basic. They're actually kind of bench seats, which kind of shows that the rear passengers maybe aren't as important as those passengers in the front, because these front seats are very much the star of the show. Right now, we are in autonomous mode, which means that the steering wheel is completely hidden, the pedals are hidden, and these seats do a very clever party trick. So if I ask my lovely assistant there, he might demonstrate that. In other words, what the seats do is they actually tilt backwards, a bit like that. So you can go on your journey and just kind of relax as the car autonomously goes about its business. You can chill out. And also, speaking of chilling, in the center console is a refrigerated area where you can keep your drinks, where you can keep sandwiches, and kind of keep yourself just relaxed on your journey, really. And it's very, very interesting. Okay, so my seat is now returning to its original position. And right now what we're seeing is this wooden dashboard with a projection of images directly on the dashboard. So in theory, you could actually watch movies. Now, apparently the way in which you get the steering wheel to emerge is by doing a gesture. You do kind of a come hither motion. And look at that. The dashboard actually folds away, and hidden within that is a steering wheel, which then kind of automatically gets pushed out of the bulkhead towards you. It's actually got a little driver display just behind it as well. But you've got this flat-bottomed, flat-top steering wheel. When it's fully deployed, you are ready to take matters into your own hands and drive the car yourself. If you don't want to do that, you can get rid of it. You press this button down here, marked A, and the whole thing returns to autonomous mode. The steering wheel folds away, the bulkhead opens, and the whole thing tucks back right where it belongs to allow you to enjoy the Grandsphere as an autonomous vehicle without having to worry about, you know, crashing into people or stressing yourself in a traffic jam. You can just chill here in the interior, you, 3 passengers, and a plant. There's an actual plant just behind me right there. How cool is this? So one other thing I forgot to show you is that when you're in a reclined incumbent position and you can't quite reach the MMI controller, you can actually just reach out and use gesture control. Not working on this concept, of course, but you reach out turn your hand left or right and the whole thing moves automatically for you to allow you to control the car in various ways without even touching the knobs. Nice. Okay, so from the Grandsphere and now over to the Skysphere. This is an entirely different concept. Whereas the Grandsphere indicated what the next generation Audi A8 might look like, this is very much a concept. It's a two-door convertible that shows what a sports car powered by an electric powertrain might look like, while also functioning as something of a Grand Tourer. Again, the front end is very, very distinctive. It doesn't have the traditional Audi single frame grille. In this case, again, it's glass fronted with some backlighting going on. On a normal grille, you might need it to cool the internal combustion engine, but because that isn't necessary on this car, the grille can be used in a lot of different ways. It can be used to communicate with the outside world or to play animations to make you feel better about your luxury purchase. Let's move down the side. I particularly love these wheels. It does away with the traditional spoke designs that you get on a normal alloy wheel, but replaces it with this very intricate layered wedge design with these outer elements which presumably would help with aerodynamics. Very large as well, giving the car a very muscular stance. Another very cool element is this very delicate looking camera for the rear view mirror system, but even more impressive, you might have noticed, just below the A-pillar, there's this arrow-shaped section of the car just here. Now that's not just there for design, it serves a very useful purpose, a very clever purpose actually, because this car can extend its wheelbase automatically. It's extended right now, but let me try and show you what it looks like when it's actually been closed up. So at the push of a button, the entire car will shrink by 250 millimeters to give it a much sportier handling characteristic. The steering wheel automatically deploys, the screen comes closer to the driver. By having a shorter wheelbase, the car should in theory feel much more agile and much more like a performance car. But when you want to return to autonomous mode and have a larger wheelbase for a bit more comfort and relaxation, at the push of a button, you can extend it and the whole thing does the process in reverse. Look at that, it's actually extending by 250 millimeters. And when it does that, the ride height also increases by 10 millimeters in order to give you a little bit more comfort as you drive along. You can see the wheel turning as it stretches. Very, very clever. The next thing I want to show you are these very impressive doors. They are suicide doors. They open automatically, so at your request, they'll open up. I mean, how cool is that? That's just ridiculous, isn't it? That is a spaceship. And if you come in and take a little look at this panel just down here where you normally have a little bit of an armrest, no armrest here. It's actually a screen that allows you to control your media playback, your climate controls, and it is just beautiful to look at, isn't it? So here I am inside the Skysphere. Again, I've got my trusty towel to protect the very expensive concept car. Let's close the door, first things first. That's ridiculous. I can't get over that. That's just so cool. And the next thing I'm gonna do is to get out of autonomous mode, because in this mode, the car will drive itself and you're just chilled and relaxed and can talk to your passenger. But when you shrink the wheelbase by 250 millimeters, the steering wheel pops out. So let's activate that. And not only does the steering wheel come towards you, but the center console does as well, and the driver display. So everything comes much more in your face, much closer to you to allow you to take control of the driving situation. The pedals are popping out too. This is just absolutely ridiculous. A couple of interesting details that I want to talk about in the Skysphere. So the materials are all recycled. You've also got some reclaimed wood in the doors, and you've also got these very clever looking, almost crystal designed buttons up here just above the center console. And even though it's all digital, there is a little bit of analog nature in the Skysphere as well, by way of this analog clock in the center console. Before we finish with the Skysphere, almost forgot to show you the back end of this car. Incredible to look at. I mean, look at this. It looks very much like a spaceship, doesn't it? Really intricate light design down here, illuminated Audi logo, but also, if you look at this rear deck, it's translucent and even has what looks like a bespoke set of luggage. That is something. Right, onto the third concept, Urbansphere. Now, We've seen this on the channel before, but I'll give you another quick look at the car because it is very interesting. This is designed basically as an MPV for big mega cities, particularly China, where the traffic situation is pretty untenable and nobody wants to drive anywhere because it's just not fun. This can transport up to 6 people in comfort, autonomously, with everyone just relaxing as they go. The big highlight, as you can see right now, is this enormous front grille, which is full of LEDs, which can show various animations. These vertical elements actually function as the DRLs. You've got thin LED lights just here. And the big screen can show things like X's to show the car's broken down. It can indicate, it can show Pong for some reason. There's a lot going on there. It just shows that the car can actually communicate as opposed to just relying on the grille for cooling the internal combustion engine. It's massive, this thing, absolutely enormous, 5.5 meters long with a huge expanse of metal, but it doesn't look too slab-like. It's actually quite an attractive thing despite being so enormous. Particularly love these massive 23-inch wheels. And if we come around to the rear, what you'll see is that it does have another interpretation of that big animated front grille, which bleeds from the side all the way around to the back of the car and into the illuminated Audi rings. Stunning design. Now, the doors, as you might imagine, it's a sphere concept, so they are suicide doors. We can open them up and see what they look like. So here we are in the interior of the Audi Urbansphere, and quite striking, isn't it? 2 front seats, 2 middle seats, and 2 rear seats. One of the most interesting things about the seats is that this middle row can actually swivel 25 degrees to make it easier to get in and out of the car. The seats will actually move forward, turn, and allow you to place your body inside the car without too much of a hassle. You've also got these little steps at the side as well, and this huge opening which makes getting in and out very, very simple. Once you're on board, the seats will then automatically turn to return themselves back to the standard position. And there's even a comfort mode whereby the seat will actually tilt quite a way back actually to give you a very, very reclined driving position. It's also got a footrest down here which extends so you can just chill out, and as we can see, the car is right now in autonomous mode, so this is where you'd spend a lot of your time just chilling, relaxing, and watching these screens built in very cleverly to the backs of the front seats. Sticking on the subject of seats for a moment, I want to show you these very, very clever headrests integrated into the tops of these seats. You can see they move, and the reason for that is they actually have built-in speakers which allow you to listen to your own personal sound zone without that sound spilling out too much into other people's space. So you keep your sound in your own space, and that allows you to enjoy content on the backs of these screens built into the back of the seats. And actually, in the concept world, Audi have also developed an OLED screen that drops down from the roof to allow you to watch movies, Netflix, YouTube as you drive along. Very, very nice. But it gets even madder because the center console has a water dispenser. As you can see, the center console rises up, and this little metallic section here is a water dispenser. The idea being that you push a button on that metal top, it decants water into the mug, and then you have a nice little drink of water to relax yourself. Actually, it's autonomous. You don't even need to have water. You can have whiskey and just have a good time while the car is driving you along. Very clever. Cheers. Okay, thank you Pebble Beach Golf Course for allowing Audi to park their sphere concepts here and allowing me to trample all over the 18th hole. That was the Grandsphere, Skysphere, and Urbansphere. None of these cars will go to market in the stages that they're at the moment. However, in a perfect world, we'll start to see quite a few of the design elements on all these cars cropping up on Audis at some point in the future. Watch this space. And if you like this content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you soon.